More than 100 members of the VIP protection unit are accused of serious crimes, but government says it's not really concerned. It's tax time again. We've got tips from the experts to make life a little easier for you. And cheers for a champion. Skipper Graham Smith steps off the plane to a very warm welcome home. Good evening and welcome to E-News Late Edition. More than 100 members of the VIP protection unit are facing serious criminal charges, and yet the Safety and Security Minister maintains there's no discipline problem. Government says those accused of crime only represent a tiny portion of the unit, and it's not of great concern.
They protect our top government officials. And it's now been revealed that over 100 VIP protection unit members are facing serious criminal charges, including drunk driving, rape and even murder. Amazingly though, the unit's political bosses don't think there's a discipline problem.
In terms of the discipline itself, yes, the VIP protection guys have been disciplined, although we do have this kind of misbehavior from our members. But so far, the conduct has been very encouraging.
Encouraging is not a word opposition parties are using to describe incidents like this one. This accident that left 8 badly injured was allegedly caused by a VIP protection unit member. He's accused of shooting at a civilian car which was too slow to get out of his way. He was speeding to go and fetch a top KwaZulu-Natal politician at the time. Again, the Safety and Security Department is unfazed, standing by the unit. So the message from government is if you encounter the VIP protection unit, get out of the way or run the risk of being arrested, forced off the road or even shot. The official opposition is now calling for an immediate probe into the unit's behavior. Shahan Ramkisoon, E-News, Johannesburg.
Israel has come under attack on another front. At least 3 rockets were fired into Israel from Lebanon today. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack, which has been condemned by the Lebanese government. Israel has retaliated with artillery fire.
The rockets fired from Lebanon exploded in northern Israel. One blasted a hole in a retirement home. 2 people were wounded in the attack. Israel hit back with artillery fire in what it calls a pinpoint response. It's not clear who fired the rockets, but the Lebanese government has lashed out at the attack, saying it violates a UN ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. At the same time, Israel is continuing to pound Gaza for a 13th day. A brief ceasefire yesterday gave Gazans access to much-needed aid. But overnight, Israeli warplanes hit at least 40 targets. Middle East envoy Tony Blair is urging the United States to back a French-Egyptian peace plan. Israel has sent an envoy to Egypt to discuss the proposal, but it says it will only halt the military operation when there is an end to the Hamas rocket attacks and weapons smuggling into Gaza.
Well, the situation in Gaza has sparked outrage among many South Africans. Scores of people marched on Parliament today to protest against Israel's actions. They want government to break diplomatic ties with Israel and are calling on consumers to boycott Israeli products. Demonstrators say South Africans have a moral obligation to support the people of Palestine, likening the conflict to a Middle Eastern apartheid. Members of the ANC and other parties joined the protesters, but the Jewish Board of Deputies says anti-Semitic incidents must not be allowed to take place in South Africa. Government officials say they're concerned about events in the Middle East. A fact-finding mission to Zimbabwe has given human rights observers a glimpse of the atrocious living conditions there. Officials from the NGO Civicus interviewed Zimbabweans and compiled a documentary in which they appeal to African leaders for help. This report from E-News Africa editor Chris Maruleng is based on their findings.
Another damning indictment of the government of Zimbabwe. In the documentary Time to Act, they speak out about the hardships they face every day.
Systems have collapsed already. The local council systems have collapsed. The health delivery system has totally collapsed. That's why you've got other United Nations, UNICEF coming to set up cholera camps.
Children are also not spared the horrors of day-to-day life in Zimbabwe.
You do not get enough food to eat, you do not get enough clothing, you do not get any care at school, you do not get much more comfortable at home. When you wake up, you do not get food to eat. You only drink water and go to school. Water does not make us feel happy, makes us feel what but to give us strength to learn.
The Civicus fact-finding mission has highlighted another tragic side to this crisis.
Mortuary, from my point of view, I think it has got a problem with refrigerators which are not working, because there is a friend of mine, the baby passed away about 3 months ago, and when they took the baby to the mortuary, after 2 days they had to go and take the baby for burial, and part of the face was eaten by the rats.
Those interviewed by Civicus are calling on the leaders of South Africa, SADC and the African Union to come to their rescue in their time of need. Chris Maruleng, E-News, Johannesburg.
In other news making world headlines now, Greece has seen a forced government shake-up after some of the worst violence in decades. Ministers in key posts such as education and economy have been replaced. Rioting erupted in December when police shot a teenager dead. Ongoing protests were then fueled by anger over unemployment, corruption and unpopular reforms. A private memorial service is being held today for John Travolta's 16-year-old son, Jet. He was found unconscious in a bathroom at the Travolta holiday home in the Bahamas on Friday. Although details are being kept private, the Bahamas undertaker said the death certificate listed the cause of death as a seizure disorder. And China is building its first research station in Antarctica. The expedition travelled over 1,000 kilometres to the highest peak where it's being erected. The team will investigate geological evolution under the ice cap and measure global climate change. Business news is up after the break, and how to get your taxes in on time if you've left it to the last minute. Welcome back. The UK's Bank of England has cut interest rates by 0.5 percentage points. This brings the current rate to 1.5%. It's the lowest interest rate that the UK has seen in over 300 years. Meanwhile, there have been more casualties as the country's recession deepens. The world-famous high street chain Marks & Spencer has become the latest retailer to announce job losses and store closures. Marks & Sparks announced this week that it'll close 27 shops and shed over 1,200 jobs. British retailer Woolworths started shutting shop in December. About 200 stores closed over the weekend, and the remainder are expected to close over the next week unless a buyer is found. Clothing company USC filed for a form of bankruptcy protection last week. The 75-year-old Adams Children's Wear Group is also seeking bankruptcy protection, while tea and coffee merchant Whittard of Chelsea and music chain Zavi have already been forced to file for administration. Meanwhile, in the struggling banking sector, Barclays is set to lay off 400 jobs in its technology department. Well, in case you've forgotten, January 23rd is the deadline for tax submissions via the internet. Billy Jaber, a tax consultant from Deloitte, has some advice for those who've left it to the last minute.
There's been quite a lot of publicity about the fact that individuals can submit their tax returns for 08 up to the 23rd of January, and that's correct as long as you are going to be submitting them electronically. If you are still doing it the old-fashioned way, doing it manually, they should be in already. They were due in on the 21st of November. So I think people need to realize that if they are relying on this extended deadline, they need to get familiar with the new system. The first time they do it is probably going to be the hardest time. It does get easier because as time goes by, the second or third year that you get the electronic tax return, it will come pre-populated with quite a lot of your information. But the first time you more or less create the return, and it's sometimes quite hard to access the system and to become familiar with it. So anyone who's relying on this later deadline needs to get cracking. People need to bear in mind is the importance of keeping records. I mean, that's always been the case. It's always been important to try and keep accurate and complete records. But now it's more important than ever because you're not submitting a whole lot of that stuff to SARS. Some of it they've got already. They will have been advised, for example, by the bank of interest income. They will have your IRP5. But for things like your logbook, if you claim a travel allowance, or any information on your house, if you're wanting to get relief from capital gains tax, you need to keep those records. On the SARS website there is now a form which people can fill in anonymously if they wish to report what they consider to be suspicious activities, which essentially means that you think someone might not be tax compliant, I would think, in the context of tax. So I think this is potentially quite a scary thing for people who think they might have anyone who doesn't wish them well. For example, a former spouse or a disgruntled former employee, someone like that. So I think it's part of a wider trend of SARS knowing more and more about us. They know much about our investments, the houses we own, interest income we derive, money we've sent offshore. So it's becoming harder and harder to be non-compliant, and I think that's the overall message. Obviously, if you're confident in your tax affairs, the existence of this form should not cause you any alarm. But if you're not, then you either need to stay friends with people or you need to regularize your tax affairs.
An explosive fire at Sasol's chemical solvents plant in Germiston has destroyed 4 tankers, forcing Sasol to shut down its East Rand plant. One man was injured in the explosion and taken to hospital with a possible broken ankle. Company spokesperson Jackie O'Sullivan says the blaze has now been extinguished. The cause of the fire is unknown and an investigation is underway. South Africa's second biggest sector has hit its worst level in 10 years. Manufacturing output has decreased by 4.4% year on year. This is substantially more than the advised decrease of 1.8%. The data from Stats SA could be an indication of a fairly fast slowdown in South Africa's economy in the early parts of 2009. The iron and steel sector data shows a massive 28.2% drop between September and November when compared to the previous 3 months. This is significant because basic iron and steel, non-ferrous metal products and machinery make up 22.4% of the local index. But the decline also extends across other sectors. Motor vehicles, parts and accessories dropped 7.7% quarter on quarter, while petroleum, chemical, rubber and plastic products also fell 4.4% from the previous quarter. And let's take a look now at today's indicators. Time for us to take another quick break, but stay with us. All your sports news is up next. Welcome back. On to sports news now, and they're calling him Captain Courageous following his heroic efforts down under. Proteas skipper Graham Smith brought his team to within a whisker of drawing that final test against Australia, and this despite a broken finger and immense pain from tennis elbow. Smith touched down to a rapturous welcome at OR Tambo International Airport this afternoon. He lauded his teammates for their historic achievement and could hardly get the words out as he tried to describe his emotions.
You know, for us to beat Australia in Australia was probably, for most of us, one of our greatest achievements that we've ever had. So, you know, to arrive here and see the people, I mean, just, I guess, you know, John sent me a nice message, so, you know, people have, my phone's been ringing off the hook, so people have been so great, it's been terrific.
Staying with cricket, the Cape Cobras will battle it out against the Titans in the MTN Domestic Championship semi-final match tomorrow. Coach Sukri Conrad believes informed batsman Henry Davids will be the key player.
And really, Henry's taken ownership of his game. As a coach, you a sounding board for players. You try and assist on a technical side, also on an emotional side where you can. And that's really where Henry's got particularly good, is that he's given himself a chance now.
Also in cricket, following the resignation of Kevin Pietersen yesterday, Andrew Strauss has been named the new England cricket captain. Strauss's first challenge is the tour of the West Indies later this month. Pietersen will, however, remain a member of the England team. No word yet on who will replace Peter Moores, who was fired yesterday as coach.
Given the lack of first-class cricket that he's had.
On to soccer news now, and it's been a controversial start to the new year for South Africa's richest club, Sundowns. Management have had to quell rumours that coach Henri Michel was leaving the club after just 2 months. The Brazilians are also facing a misconduct charge by the PSL, and at the same time Umbulelo Mabizela has been axed. And if that's not enough, star striker Lerato Chabango has told the club he's leaving for rivals SuperSport United. But the players and the coach still seem upbeat.
I think all this came up just today, and we haven't really had get to grips with it and seeing and really getting the real stories what's happening.
No, that's just the press making a whole big issue out of it. I think the mood is great. Everyone's looking forward to the game. Everyone's motivated to play.
Je pense que depuis qu'on est arrivé, le comportement des joueurs est exemplaire.
We must say that since we arrived in the club 2 months ago, the attitude of the players, their reaction, their spirit is perfect. There is nothing to say against this.
Bafana striker Bernard Parker is heading overseas to Red Star Belgrade in Serbia. Parker has been in red-hot form for Thunder Royal Zulu and the national team, scoring no fewer than 13 goals so far this season. Pending a medical, Parker will be off to Europe by the end of this month.
It's every individual's dream to play top-flight football, and I think this will be a good start for me to become one of the top stars if I keep myself mentally strength and also physically. Yes, it is exciting because you up a gear, and it's also a new environment. You have to learn new things, but the game remains the same. It's just if we improve and be able and determined to move to the next level. Yes.
Rounding up sports now with a golf update. South African Trevor Fisher and Swede Steven Jeppesen lead the first round of the Joburg Open. The pair are both on 8 under. Northern Ireland's Michael Hoey is in 3rd place, and he's just 1 shot off the pace.
Pulled right in the back of the green. Good shot over the top.
Derek's got the lowdown on your weekend weather next, and then give me my kidney back. A humiliated husband starts making ridiculous divorce demands.
I felt humiliated and betrayed. Disrespect.
Time for a check of your weather forecast for your day ahead. We'll begin first with the latest satellite loop over the past 24 hours. A band of scattered showers and thunderstorms has developed in the Free State and is traveling towards the southeast. It will reach the western sections of KwaZulu-Natal overnight with more rain in the forecast for your Friday, helping kickstart the weekend on a rather wet note. Now that's because we continue to tap into a very moisture-rich air mass in the tropical regions of Central Africa. And that same air mass will interact with a cold front associated with a well-defined area of low pressure in the southwest Atlantic. That same cold front will provide cloud cover, scattered showers, and also cooler temperatures into Cape Town for Friday. Don't cancel your outdoor sundowner plans for the evening just yet. I'm expecting a clearing trend for the mother city late in the day, but as that cold front races up the southeastern coastline, it'll provide one of the 3 catalysts necessary for thunderstorm development: lift from the cold front, moisture from the tropical regions, and instability from the circulation patterns in place. That's why we're forecasting the possibility of strong to severe weather in the northwestern sections of the Eastern Cape. Could see large hail and damaging winds, so keep that in mind if you live in those regions. Northwesterly wind will become southwesterly into the Cape Town region once the cold front passes, and a moderate northeasterly component for Richards Bay and Durban. Freight and all in Springbok, slightly cooler temperatures compared to Thursday's daytime highs. Thanks to the amount of cloud cover in place, 32 for Dar, Prieska 37, shaving off a degree or 2 for Uppington. 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms and overcast conditions helping keep the temperatures down throughout the Northwest Province. Ventersdorp 27, Rustenburg 29, 40% chance of rain throughout Gauteng. Joburg and Soweto both share a daytime high of 27, Vereeniging and Pretoria 29. Hot and humid conditions leading to a rather uncomfortable day in the Limpopo Valley and also the low-feld regions of Limpopo and into Mpumalanga as well. Dry for Nelspruit and Piet Retief. Another hot and humid day expected for northern sections of KwaZulu-Natal. Could see an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but much more welcome than anything because it would certainly cool you off. Pietermaritzburg, a daytime high of 37. Drink plenty of water if you're outdoors. Good chances of rain throughout the Free State. Showers and thunderstorms, a good likelihood. And again, strong to severe thunderstorms in the northwestern sections of the Eastern Cape. Along the coastline, 60% chance of rain for East London. Mostly cloudy skies expected. 30% chance of showers and storms for the popular holiday destination of Plettenberg Bay. Morning showers for Cape Town, a high of 25, but again, a clearing trend expected by Friday evening. Sunshine and warmer temperatures for Saturday. Showers and storms for the northeast. As we take a look into the last parts of the weekend, hot for Cape Town, 30 degrees. That's a look at your latest forecast from the Weather Center. Have a good one.
And finally, divorce often brings out the worst in people. And sometimes couples fight over every possession down to the last teaspoon. For the very wealthy, the arguments are usually over million-dollar mansions and sports cars. But now, America's elite are even bickering over body parts.
In happier times, New York surgeon Richard Batista was only too happy to sacrifice one of his kidneys for his wife. However, when he discovered she was having an affair 2 years later, a bitter divorce battle began. Now he says he wants his kidney back, and if his ex refuses to return it, he'll settle for a cash payment of around 10 million rand. New York lawyers believe the doctor's out of luck and down a kidney. But as odd as it may seem, they say this isn't the weirdest divorce demand they've ever dealt with. In this day and age of plastic perfection, they've had humiliated hubbies demanding the ex's breast implants be returned.
It's about 30 minutes. Basically, Dr. Lee is...
Almost 10:30, let's recap our top stories. More than 100 members of the VIP protection unit are facing serious criminal charges, but government doesn't seem to think there's a discipline problem. And our cricket hero is home. The red carpet is rolled out at OR Tambo for Graham Smith. And that's how we leave you tonight. I'll be back with you on Monday. Of course, you're welcome to comment on any of our news bulletins. Send an email to newsroom@etv.co.za. That's newsroom@etv.co.za. Or call us on 083 1222. And that number again is 083 1222. From me till then, take care and have a wonderful weekend.